at 342-1631. Natalie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, cool, it works. I like when it's seamless. Many thanks to Sue for the help right before the show, getting this working, because I was asking her.
Thanks, Sue.
Yeah, she's running out, but I think she waved. Cool. Well, this is Natalie Windt. It's been a while since we've had a live show, so this is a live show, not a recording, to everyone listening. Thanks for making that possible, Natalie. I appreciate this.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and she's been a long-time participator, was a co-host for a while, is popping on as a guest with a bunch of really new, brand new, fresh, beautiful content, which is going to be great. I'm actually really excited for these pieces. And I think we are going to be starting off the show a little bit differently with a joke.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I am participating in something called Zine-tober, where I make a mini zine a day. And today's zine is Rodney Dangerfield quotes. So this is one that I pulled out. He says, "I came from a real tough neighborhood. Once a guy pulled a knife on me, I knew he wasn't a professional because the knife had butter on it."
Perfect. Okay.
That's my kind of humor. I don't know.
I like it. Oh, that fits him so well. Okay. So these, and the reason why it was Rodney Dangerfield themed zines, you said?
No, it's just mini zines a day. Usually there's prompts, but I'm kind of doing my own prompts. And I'm doing some comedian quotes ones where they're all just like mini zines that are about 6 pages in length and little drawings and little quotes. And then I do some like personal zines, and I have a bunch of different prompts for myself, which actually leads into the poetry that I'm reading tonight, which is all poetry I did in a writer's group at the beginning of quarantine. And it's all based off of prompts that I was given. Okay. And real quick, before we dive into that, I don't have a good definition for it, but for those listening who are interested, what is a zine? A zine is a mini self-made and self-published magazine that you can make. It can be about anything you want. It can be about nothing. And that's why I love it, because there are no rules. Pretty endless there for creativity. Okay, thank you. Well, neat. I think we should segue right in. What was the order you wanted to read these in, and do you want me to read any? I can read them. Okay. I've never actually read these out loud, so I'm hoping the cadence that I was going for in the
first time saved for live on air.
Yeah, I'm going to start with Day 11-something, Still in Pajamas, is the title. And again, these were written right in the first month of quarantine. So I'm calling them Quarren poems. Okay, well, I'll go ahead. Alrighty. Eggs are my dawn these days, a ceremonious crack, crack, yolk greeting me with 2 sunrises, something like fortune smiling upon me. I smirk back. I'm homebound, and I don't know why. Not like I can't go outside, but self-imposed impositions feels fun sometimes. And not wearing pants is a delight, legs wide open like a field, satisfaction not unlike a subway perv in a trench coat. Only top clothes in a Zoom meeting, colleagues none the wiser. I arch my back, present business above, party on the bottom. This is bringing out the best worst in me, and I don't mind. My sky highs and rock bottoms form a parallel line. Each night I laugh myself to sleep with dry rice checks, dry cornflakes, dry everything to match my dry sense of humor. Sometimes into the night I stay up late, something I hadn't done in a long, long time. I like quarantine me. She's weirder, doesn't plan ahead for the day when we'll be free. And little did you know, we really couldn't plan ahead. Oh, wow. I like that one. I think that's going to be something that you look back on in many years and shudder probably a little bit. Shudder? I'm not ashamed, okay? I'm proud of who I became. Not again, I'm saying, sorry, I should disclaim there, not of the poetry, of what was going on at the time. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm so sorry that came out wrong. Anybody. But, I mean, I'm proud, and I know a lot of people, it's not always the case that, quarantine was terrible and I lost everything. I know some people that actually did really well in it and really adjusted and made some necessary changes in their life. So I'm hoping it's the same for many people out there listening. And even to add on to that, this poem was definitely not a negative one. This was a very positive one, in my opinion. Well, I'm glad. I had to mute myself on the trench coat part because that made me giggle a little bit. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah.
Well, we're at 7:07, so we should probably keep rolling through them. I want to say more on this one, but I think that was a beautiful piece, and I do think it kind of encapsulates what was going on, and definitely I think a lot of people relate to the Zoom comment you have in there.
Oh, yeah, working from home. Yep. We all wish we could do it forever.
Yeah.
All right, well, the next one is my morning speech. This is who you have always been, a hermit with nothing to prove. Your days ruled by sunlight, entering in and out of a window, like the lover you thought you were supposed to want once, but you didn't. In its place, the tick-tock of an ad hoc biological clock. Shadows peppering the floor. They're supposed to remind you that life is passing you by. But for some reason, you don't mind. The quiet dignity of another man's idea of mediocrity, or the nobility found in remaining invisible. This is who you were born to be. From the four corners of your wobbly desk, you commuted 3 steps to today. You'll take on the world. You'll remain a hero in your own mind.
And on mine, the last line is, and that is enough. Was that on there too?
Oh, no, I didn't copy it.
Oh, no worries.
Whoops. Yeah. And that is enough. Dang it. Actually, this poem is a lot about, like, I don't know, I guess going into quarantine, like, you're aware of the things I was going through. In fact, I just want to take a moment to thank Kevin for being such a great friend to me. Because, 2018 to 2020 were not fantastic years for me. And so I really appreciate the help that you've given me in my life and letting me co-host this show. I loved it, and it really makes me who I am today, being a part of your show.
And I would say likewise, it goes both ways. I think knowing you has made me grow a lot as well, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you.
Yeah, so going in, I was thinking about a lot of things about who I was. And quarantine really gave me a chance to reconnect with my family and what it was that I actually want from life. And just thinking about how in the past, certain things that were just, to me, very shallow, like wanting to be seen and heard, and social media and all that, like for all the wrong reasons. It was really important to me. And so going into it, I'm like, I've kind of been having this thought forever. It's like, why is nobody okay with being an ordinary person, And there are people out there that are, but it just kind of felt like that when I wrote this. Like, everybody needs to be on stage all the time, and it really bothers me, especially because I'm guilty of it, and I need to work on that.
It's a good thing to target, I think.
Yeah.
I think from my kind of perspective on the piece is kind of like a deep breath in before steeling yourself for the day, but not in any kind of aggressive or negative way. More like a deep breath going, I'm ready for this. This is okay. I'm accepting the change. Yeah. This is all right.
Yeah, and that's actually a good point. At the time that I wrote this, I was working for a social media company, and we did work primarily with restaurant owners. So every morning that I woke up, the first month or two, probably actually first 6 months of quarantine, was just frightening, and like not knowing what I was walking into and not wanting to face the day. So a lot of that too was in there, especially these are very informed by my working life at the time.
Yeah.
So,
well, of course. Yeah. How can they not be?
I know, right? That was basically at the time this particular poem was written, my bedroom, which I was staying at my parents' house, was also the room that I worked out of. So basically work was with me 24/7.
Yeah.
And people were calling me 24/7. And luckily they let me move my stuff into another room and have like another room for their office. I was very fortunate with that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Ugh.
I feel it in the lines from the four corners of your wobbly desk. You commuted 3 steps to today.
Yeah.
That one really strikes hard in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. I'm getting the quarantine vibes. I feel it.
I need a shower. I hated that time. Yeah. Okay, well, the next one is Age 4, Henoch Schonleins, Purpura. It didn't come on slow, a small blotch overnight hatching into full-blown anarchy. I remember it looking kind of beautiful in between the terror. I know a 4-year-old's memory is faulty, but I see myself as a cheetah. Purple print, electric, and alive. Fingers splayed out, wide-eyed in the middle of a room, everyone looking on at me in horror. I only remember the one night my cousin found me screaming, switching on a light, throwing me in an ice cold bath to soothe the pain, but it only made it worse. I was sick and untouchable for 3 months. I only remember the one night. I don't think I've ever been that powerful since, sparing my family screams when I fall ill, but I'll never forget the way I could command a room just with my presence.
Oof. What's going on in this one? I'm really curious.
Well, I can't remember what the prompt was. It was something. I can't remember what it was. But, this is about a childhood illness that I had that pretty much screwed my immune system up from that time, from 4 years old on. And I was bleeding under my skin, and nobody knew what was wrong with me. Oof. And the way that I remember it is that my cousin David was babysitting us, and he turned on the light in my room, and I'm just standing in the middle of my room with all these
bruises.
Spots. Yeah, bruises beneath my skin, like a cheetah print, basically, like a deranged cheetah. And I only remember it as the one night, but I guess they could tell something was wrong with me a couple days before. I was just kind of not feeling well, and then it just sort of took off, and my skin was just covered in bruises, and I was bleeding from several organs and not okay.
Oof.
So I'm just remembering that, and the reason why this particular incident really hit me at the time was because everything everywhere was like, people with compromised immune systems can't leave, and talking about isolation and social distancing, and to me that wasn't a new idea. It wasn't a new idea that people didn't care if I was sick. It wasn't a new idea that people didn't care about my health or anything, and that I'd have to be alone, to stay safe, because I've been in that situation before, and there's a lot of people out there that have, and so that time was really triggering for me. I'm starting to hate that word, triggering, but it's true. I mean, it really set off a lot of memories in my head, and I realized, like, wow, I never really addressed how scared I was, and the fact that I can remember so much of that.
Very provoking
time in my life, very vivid memory of when I was found and how bad it hurt. And then the fact that I shut out like months worth of it and can remember so well just the one night.
Which, if someone was tuning in right at that moment, could think you're talking about quarantine.
Yeah.
So I see the vein you're striking at.
Yeah, basically.
And Henoch Schonleins, is that the name of what it was, or is that just
Yeah, it's a type of Purpura. It's like I don't really know exactly. I just remember my doctor, who was also my friend at 4. I loved him. He's the one who figured out, what he did was he looked at some blood work that I had done beneath a microscope, counting cell by cell to figure out what was wrong with me.
Wow, what a beautiful
at the
human.
Time. Yeah, good person, but... Okay, well, I guess I'll move on to the next one.
Good job, honestly, on finding that same theme going on there. That's a big gap time-wise. I think it strikes home really well. Yeah.
I mean, and I going back to quarantine and everything, just having the time to think and realize how much of my life has impacted my behavior, and still is to this day. I mean, but there was things I thought, wow, I really turned a corner, and when I stopped drinking, not that I was an alcoholic or anything, not that there's anything, I'm judging you if you are, but when I quit drinking, I felt like, wow, I'm so healthy and I feel great. And then I went into this situation and I was like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff that I still have not addressed. So
yeah, seems like every time we turn around.
Self-reflect.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway, okay, so the next one is called Proof That I Exist. I came into the world a nothing, born of a black void into a spotlight of my making, proving I was something for a bit, because that is all that life is. The proof I existed will be in my reclamation of all I thought was mine for the taking, only to circle back to the place that I begin. Born a nothing, die a nothing, desperate to prove I was something in the spaces in between.
I'm sorry for the pause there. I actually don't have that one in front of me. I was looking for it. I like it. What was the title of this one again?
Proof That I Exist.
Yeah, that sounds right. I wish I had that on my email here. I'm sorry I wasn't able to follow along.
I'm sorry. I thought I included it.
Maybe I'm just missing it. I liked it a lot, though. That was a good one.
Yeah, that one. So at the time, I was listening to like Alan Watts on YouTube talks, because I always really like to go back to him when I'm just trying to figure stuff out. And he's a little bit out there. But there was something about, he was saying something about life is like a big void, and you're coming into the world through a big void, and you're going out of it just to become the same thing that you were. And in between, life is what happens in between. And I thought, wow, what an interesting idea. Like, we're this blackness, this nothingness, and then we come into a world and we work so hard to become something. And really, it's only just for ourselves. I mean, we could say it's for so many other people, but honestly, if we're honest, it's mostly for ourselves. And then we go back into wherever it is that we came from. And that's it. And I thought, man, I don't know why at the time when I was listening to it, I'm like, you get me. And now I can't even remember exactly what he said. But that was like, it really hit home for me at the time. And I just thought, like, what will be left? Like, a lot of people want to leave a legacy, and that's fantastic. I think that's great, because there will be other life after you. But, you know, like, what will be the proof that I was even here? What will I allow to be here after I'm gone? What do I not want to be seen? Where am I even going? You know?
And I'll say this, and please, anyone listening, don't take this the wrong way, but ideally, a bunch of happy people. And I don't mean that in the sense that, oh, you're gone, they're happy, in the sense that you left happy people behind because you helped make them happy.
Yeah, well, and I definitely, this one sounds very, like, nihilistic and like, I was born in nothing. But the idea of nothingness isn't actually negative in all cultures.
No,
it's like a humble reminder that you come from nothing, you become something, and you return to that nothingness. And whatever the definition of nothingness is to you, or to your culture, or to where you are, that's where you're going. And to me, like, I'm like, I don't know what it is. So I believe in some things, but ultimately it's a nothing that I came from. I don't even know exactly where I came from. And then I'm returning to that someday. It's like a really heavy thought if you spin it around in your head for a bit.
Or a really lucid one.
Mm-hmm.
I like to describe the crossing of the voids as, disorienting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Anywho, moving on.
Next one.
Relax, everything is out of control.
I have that one.
Yes. Relax, you have it. Okay. There's a patch of eczema growing up my leg. It's something like hysteria. It's spreading day by day. I'm not worried about the direction it's going. Maybe tomorrow it's gone. Maybe tomorrow it overtakes. Maybe I wake up no longer Natalie. Instead, skin rash girl, hardly recognizably human, and you know that'd be okay. Wherever this itchy, grained patchwork of nervous tick terrain takes me, all accept my fate. Relax. Everything is out of control, and that is okay.
And I quite see why you picked this one for quarantine, or quarantine poems.
Yeah. That was, I think, the first one that I wrote for that group, like the week of that happening. And I was like, whoa, there's nothing we can do, and everybody's freaking out. Mm-hmm. I was picturing this burning building with people running out of it, not knowing where to go, just freaking out.
And I think it's a really, in my opinion, a real, not relatable, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a, I guess I'll just describe. I don't know if I can find a word for it, which is surprising for me. But
yeah, you're so verbose, Kevin.
Not tonight. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to describe is using yourself as the example for something that could be startling or scary for other people, and saying, "Look, if I'm not freaking out, you don't have to freak out. It's okay." Yeah. And I think that's something that. In my time here so far has been a great way to get across calmness to someone. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Really, people react to your reactions, too. So, like, if one person can hold it together, we all can, you know? And, I mean, I had my moments, too, where somebody was that for me. But I just remember thinking, like, and it might have been a form of denial at the time, too. Like, we're fine.
this is fine. Everything's going to be fine. I don't know what you're worried about. We're fine. And that's not necessarily true for everybody and everything that's gone down. But at the time, I was like, we're going to be okay. I've been through worse.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I don't know how bad this was for other people, just how it was for me.
Living is a process, and we don't fully understand it, so relax.
Yeah, really. The illusion of control, you need to relax on it.
Relax, everything's out of control, and that's okay.
Yes, yeah. Did I make it through all but one? Okay, well, I guess I do have time for another.
Yeah.
All right.
It'll be the last one, I think.
Chance, and I think chance was actually the prompt for this one.
Okay.
I'll never rely on the pluck of an ox-eyes petal to tell me if I have love or none at all, even if I can relate to someone ripping me to shreds in the name of it. And for decisions, I trust my intuition, taking coins only so far as to cash them in, not on the value of their opinion. You see, I know myself better than a 50-cent piece. And I don't make wishes on some dried-out weed I blew apart and shredded with a breath of desperation. I make plans. Only children let their hopes sail away on the wind.
I think someone should tell all children not to rely on the ox-eye flowers for love. That'd be a great thing to, lead going into life.
Yeah. I mean, and I still do that just for, I don't know why. I flip coins and I do pick petals and stuff just because it reminds me of being a kid. But this is really about, just understanding that you do have some agency in your life. And, and for me as a child, blowing on dried out dandelion weeds was so pleasurable and made me feel like I had some semblance of control over some things happening at the time and that I was going to go somewhere, and I could visually see my dream fly out into the world and fly away. And it was I just had this belief, it will become something. And now it's I don't necessarily need that anymore. Those superstitious things, which can be helpful, but I don't really need it so much anymore. And especially during this time where there were no answers, there was so much uncertainty. And I just felt I've been through tough situations before and everything worked out, even when it just felt like the world was ending. Everything worked out, and everything was eventually okay. And so that's why I was and I know some other people in the group, they owned local shops, and they were having hard times, and they were writing things, too, that I was somewhat responding to in this, because there was just a real sense of hopelessness and helplessness at the time. And really, I mean, if you're losing things like your business, I don't know how that feels, and honestly, I don't own or have any aspiration of owning a business because I don't want to know how that feels, because I realize you could have it one day and lose it the next. I've seen it happen in my own family. So,
and I think this piece does a good job of not devaluing that experience for them as well. This is talking maybe towards a different kind of perspective towards it.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
I mean, and honestly, in speaking with the people that I was working for at the time, the restaurant owners, some people were losing everything, and they had this attitude of just ultimate acceptance and peace, and they were possibly closing down. Some people lost businesses they'd had in their family for 70 years, and it was we're gonna be alive and we're okay. And I was talking to people like that daily, dealing with that, and also just the fears of wow, if we lose too many clients here, we're not going to have a business either. And I just want to say, to my boss at the time, he was helping restaurant owners incredibly and giving them 3 months of service, and really just our main goal was to keep them alive and afloat at the time. So that was really an honor to be a part of that. To help them. But just even being a therapist to them on the phone, people all across the United States telling me what's going on in their state, and it was frightening, and I'm glad most of them ended up okay, and some just it devastated their business.
Yeah, all across the spectrum, it's been different for everyone so far. Well, Natalie,
and that's it for that.
Yeah, we have 2 minutes left, excuse me. And now I get to put you in the hot seat. Why don't you describe for the audience who's listening any recommendations for how to write your own zine?
Oh, well, I would say start with mini zines. They're just like one sheet of paper that you fold, and you can look online or like on Pinterest for ideas as well of styles and sizes you want to do. But I would say, like, if you're listening and you're a writer and you write poetry or you like poetry, I started with my poems and I was doing images, drawing images based off of the imagery that I had in my poems.
That's cool.
So, if you're interested in it and you write poetry, there's an easy way to do it because you've already basically lined out what your images will be. So just separate it line by line, figure out how many pages you want and what's the most startling images in your poem, and then draw away.
And to describe that visually, zines are not overwhelming. They're tiny and they're approachable.
Tiny and approachable, but yeah, there are some bigger ones. I've done Zine Fest with people, and there's some really impressive work out there. Some people that are really just all about it, and that's the other thing I love about it is the community that I found in making that kind of art, and sharing it and trading, and just nothing but love and support and ideas.
Beautiful.
So cool.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for a good show. This was fantastic. And for everyone listening who liked Natalie, she'll be on again for a second show because we got some more pieces to go through. So don't worry, stay tuned.
What about the people that don't like me?
Well, I'm sure they're not listening.
Well, they can just tune out.
Yep. I think that's the most appropriate thing to say on air.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, KZFR. I'm just a guest. I'm not a co-host anymore.
Well, Natalie, I appreciate having you on. It's always nice to talk to you.
I appreciate you, Kevin.
I'll read us out and have a good night.
All right. Good night.
Right On Air is made possible by the generous contributions of KZFR supporters.